Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Don't forget to subscribe. If this is your first time to the channel, what are you going to find here? A lot of full songs with tab right on the screen so you don't have to go anywhere. I also cover a lot of theory and technique. I get into shred with my series Beneath the Shred. So if you're a shred head, check that out. I've got another episode coming right away. Now, enough chit chat, let's get into Lynyrd Skynyrd. Okay, so the original recording of Simple Man was tuned down half a step. So in keeping with the vibe of that, that's how I'm playing it today. So be sure to tune your guitar down half a step so you can play along with this lesson. And the song isn't too hard to figure out. We have a whopping 3 chords: C, G, and A minor. And technically we could consider that we have 4 chords in A minor 7. If we put our pinky on the high string on the 3rd fret, that gives us an A minor 7, and you'll see where that chord comes into play. But for all intents and purposes, we have a C, a G, and an A minor. Okay, so the song starts off with a 2-bar repeating phrase. The intro is 8 measures, and then it's followed by an 8-measure verse, and it's all built off of the same 2-bar repeating figure. And we're just arpeggiating those 3 chords. So we just have to figure out our arpeggio pattern, and away we go. So it's going to sound like this. And around and around. So we start off by walking into our C chord. So we start off with our open A, 2nd fret, and 3rd fret. Now we skip up to the G string, and then we come down to our 4th string and 5th string. Then we skip all the way up to our 2nd string. 3rd string, 4th string, back up to our 3rd string. Okay, and that pattern stays pretty consistent with all these chords, as you'll see. So just master that pattern. And it's not a fast tempo song, so there's some room for experimenting with your picking. For me, I just use straight alternate picking. It works well for me and it feels comfortable. But if alternate picking just isn't working for you, definitely experiment with economy picking, different ways of getting those notes, because like I said, it's a slower tempo song, so there's room to experiment. It doesn't have to be a strict pattern. But that arpeggio pattern, you just want to have that mastered. So okay, now we're just going to move that basically down a string set, and we don't even have to hold our whole G chord. Just move down to hold the 3rd fret on the bottom string and the 2nd fret on the 5th string. So we're just holding the bottom of our G string, and then we're going to use that same arpeggio pattern. So you can see it's the exact same pattern, just everything's been moved down a string. And by down, I mean up, right? But we're going lower in pitch, so that's why it's down. I know that can be confusing if you're just learning the guitar. So we're going to hit the 6th string, 4th string, 5th string, 6th string, and then all the way up to the 3rd string, 4th string, 5th string, back up to the 4th. Okay, so we put those 2 chords together. Okay, then we're going to move to our A minor. And as you can see, it's the exact same arpeggio pattern again for those 2 beats. We're hitting the exact same strings that we did when we were holding a C, but now we're just holding an A minor instead. But we start off with our 5th string, 3rd string, 4th string, 5th string, skip all the way up to our 2nd string, 3rd string, 4th string, and 3rd string. And now this is where the arpeggio pattern changes a little bit for the last 2 beats of bar 2. And we have this little melody, and this is where that A minor 7 chord comes into play as well. So the last 2 beats look like this. Okay, and that's our little walk up into C to repeat. So we're going to hit our open A, 2nd string, 3rd string, 4th string. Put your pinky down on the G on the high string and hit that. And back to the 2nd string, and then our little walk up, and that's where we repeat. So those last 2 beats. and then repeat. Okay, so that's the guitar one, and that's how it plays in the intro and in the verses. A second guitar also comes in, and it does something like this. So this is the second guitar part that comes in halfway through that intro, and it goes throughout the verse as well. And this is just a simile. There's too many little variations throughout that go on, but if you get this part down, then you're gonna find that you're just gonna be spontaneously playing it slightly different here and there anyways, as you get more comfortable with it. You don't have to play this 100% the exact, but this is very, very close to what he's doing, minus, you know, variations here and there that he throws in. So what we're doing, it's obviously following the same 3 chords as that first guitar, and we start with our little walk up, but the pattern that we're doing is a little bit different. We're going to go, we're all skipping up to that 3rd string, back to the 5th string, and up to the 2nd string. So a lot of string skipping there. And then we hit that 3rd string again, and this time we actually walk down into the G. Okay. Okay, so once we walk down into that G, we do the same string skipping idea. It's the same pattern. We go G to the 4th string, back to the G, back to the 3rd string. So that's the same pattern on 2 different chords. Okay, and then we hit, to finish off that G, we go 4th string, 5th string, 4th string. And just remember to always hold these chords down, and you don't even really have to worry about what this left hand or the fretting hand is doing. So let's just quickly go over those 2 again. Now we're on to our A minor chord. So we're just gradually getting 1 string higher, kind of building that melody and that rhythm guitar. So we're just going 5, 3, 4, 3. And then we're going down 4, 5, up to the 2nd string, 3, 4, and putting our pinky down to get that high note. And then with the 2nd string, and our little walk up to C to start it over. So that whole A minor. And then you put those 2 guitar parts together. If you've got 2 guitars in the band, put those together, and you're gonna have a nice big full sound. And if you're just by yourself having some fun, you'll probably just wanna stick to that first guitar. Now we gotta get into the chorus, and here we go. Okay, chorus, same 3 chords going around. We've got a C and a G and an A. We just can play them slightly differently. So our C, we're gonna do our bar chord version of that, and you can use your 3rd finger to bar or your pinky. And the thing that they do is they bar the 2 bottom strings. So you'll wanna put your 1st finger over top of the 3rd fret of the 5th and the 6th string. And it gets that heavier sound. Okay, really kind of a cool sound. And then G, you can take your pick of what kind of a G you're gonna play here. I've seen them quite often live. They'll wrap their thumb around and get the root, the G with their thumb, and then just play this triad here on the string 4, 3, and 2. So you've got your G, B, and D on that string set. And they play that G. I've also seen Gary Rossington just play this big open 6-string G power chord where you'd want to mute off the 5th string with the underside of that 2nd finger. Okay, and then you could also play a G just where it's the bar chord version, but you could take your pick there of what strings you want to include. You could either play the power chord, or maybe put your second finger down, or maybe even strum all 6 if you think it sounds nice, if you don't have that much distortion dialed in. Take your pick. So we've got our C and our G figured out, and then we just go to an A. And just do your open A power chord here. And then there's just a little a little run on the bass where we go open E to the 3rd fret, back to open E. And the only thing is transitioning those chords. You'll just want to put in a couple of scratches. Okay, so you can get those in there. So this progression plays 4 times for the chorus, and it does that exactly how I just showed twice. And the 3rd and 4th times, it's the exact same, except the G chord, we slide up to the 10th fret on the A string. We're gonna play that G in the A form. So just like this C, we're gonna slide it up, but we're just not gonna bar the 2 bottom strings. We're just gonna get the root on the 5th string. So the 3rd and 4th times, you'd play that progression. Now, as far as the second guitar goes, live, again, I've seen them do different things, but just layer up those guitars. There's not a lot going on in that chorus except ringing chords, right? So get that second guitar just to figure out a second place to play those chords. So instead of playing a C here, you could play that C up here. And then your G power chord could be off of the 5th fret here. I've seen them utilize that one live. And then you could just slide up a whole step to A. I've seen them utilize all these ideas. Okay, and layering up those 2 guitars in different areas of the neck is really going to fatten up that sound. That's pretty much it for the chorus. The only other thing that I do want to talk about is the album version that I want to base this lesson off of. How do we get into the chorus? And we get into that chorus 2 beats early. And then we're into the chorus. So we lop off that A minor, we stop that arpeggio pattern 2 beats early. And then chorus. So that's how we get into that chorus in that album version of the song. One more rhythm riff. Let's cover what goes on underneath the main solo, and then we'll go back and cover all the lead that happens in the song. So what that main rhythm guitar that's going on underneath the solo is a series of power chords. And here we go. I'll play it and we'll break it down. So this rhythm guitar part is once again just based off of C, G, and A. C on the 8th fret, G on the 3rd fret, and up to A on the 5th fret, all along the bottom string. So same 3 chords, just different spots of the fretboard once again. So what we're gonna do is come out of our chorus, but instead of going back to this open A as we do to finish off the other choruses, we skip up to this A on the 5th fret. And we can build that with a palm mute and gradually take it off. So it's 3, 3, E, and a 4, E, and a 1. And we land on the C right on beat 1. And we approach that from a half step below the 7th fret. Okay, and you can just use downstrokes there. And then we get into the solo section. Okay, so this rhythm is based off of 16th notes. So follow along with the picking instructions in the tab that I'm providing, and I'll count it out here for you too, just so that for those of you that are familiar with counting 16ths, that it might help speed up the process here. 1, a 2, E, and 3, a 4, E, and a 1, E, Okay, so the first couple of beats, 1, 2, and so we want to start. The next one's going to be an upstroke. That's how you're going to stay in time. Remember, rhythm's in your right hand, so you want to have that upstroke. If you haven't figured out 16ths, refer to one of my latest videos where I in-depth talk about strumming 16th note patterns, and that'll help you figure these out. But remember, you just have your hand strumming in 16th notes and keep that in time, and it should help you out. We're going to slide up to the 10th fret, down to the 3rd fret, slide up to the 5th. Okay, we just have a little trick at the very end of that second measure. This is just a 2-measure repeating pattern throughout the solo as well. And that, so we have to slide up to C and back to A really quick. So that last measure starting on the second beat, 2 and 3 E and 4 E and 1. So you have to have some quick slides there. Okay, and you don't have to have, I'm playing a 3-string power chord where I've got my pinky, but you could play a 2-string, and you could use your pinky too. It's totally up to you how you want to do that. Live, again, I've seen them play it both ways, so it's totally up to you. And now on the album version, to thicken that up, they have a second guitar doing the exact same thing, just an octave higher. So instead of starting on the C here, just play it up here. Just like that. And that thickens it up on the album version. And put those two guitar parts together again, and you're going to sound big in a band situation. Now, we've covered all the rhythm guitar parts. Let's quickly get into the leads. The first lead lick that we have to talk about is a little interlude section that comes in after the first verse, between the first verse and the second verse. It also comes in again later in the song, but it's a pretty easy run and we don't have any bends to talk about, so let's just go over the lead bit. We have to, just like our verse rhythm guitars, we do a little walk up into that C. So open A, B, C. Now we're going to hit our 5th fret and we're going to slide to the 7th, back to the 5th, and then you want to do this all as one smooth move where you go and then pull off. Okay, and if you have to, you can definitely just pluck that 3rd string again, or the 3rd fret again. But it has that more authentic sound of the song. If you do it all as one, pull off. Okay, so we're going to slide up to the 7th fret, back to the 5th, pull off to the 3rd, and then down to the 3rd fret. And then repeat that slide, pull off to the 5th fret. And then we just do our E, G, E, and then a G to A slide. And just do that twice. And that's that little interlude section. Let's get into the main solo. Okay, the main solo is based strictly around pentatonic scales, and we start in home bass, that A minor, C major pentatonic, and we start with an oblique bend. We go 5, 7, and then we put our pinky down on the 8th fret of the B string and our 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the G string, and we bend that. So we're bending the 7th fret on the G string while that pinky is holding that 8th fret down. So it's a very pedal steel country type thing. And then we release that. And then we do it again. So you want to get this bend, release, and pull off all nice and smooth. Okay. And then we're hitting that 7th fret of the D string. And then we're sliding up to the 12th and 14th fret of the G string and the 13th fret of our B string. Okay, and then we're just sliding up an octave higher than where we started. Back up into that home bass pentatonic pattern number 1, just instead of on the A there, just on the A an octave higher. And doing the exact same kind of licks. Okay, now that's all pretty straightforward. Here, we're gonna slide up. We've got to do a finger roll on that 17th fret. And now we take this 20th fret and we gradually bend it. So, and you can get pretty high with it. And then you will just want to do a little half step bend to finish it. So throughout that beat 3, 3E enda. And then just a little half step on beat 4. Okay, and then we go back. That back down to the 17th fret with a bend on the 20th on the B string. And then we're going to bend that again. So we're going to bend that 20 to back to the 9th, or the 17th, sorry. And back to the 20th. And then we're going to do sliding on the 17th and quick bends on the 20th fret. Lots of bending there. That's probably the trickiest little part of the solo. So we want to go 17, doing that little finger roll, and then repeat that, but now we want a quick 19th fret bend on the G string, and then back down the 17th fret, and ending with the 20th fret bend. And then you want to get an open G string in there. It gives you time to get back down. Then, once you're down here, you bend the 7th fret, release and bend it again. Now we use our pinky. While that 7th fret is still bent, you grab that 8th fret with your pinky again on the B string. And then, so lots of bending here on the 7th fret. So once your pinky hits the 8th fret, you want to release that 7th fret, and then another quick bend and release. So that whole thing. And then we're going to bend it one more time. So that's going to be another bend on the 7th fret, string skip up to the 5th fret of the high string, back to the 8th fret of the B string, and bend that B string a whole step. And then we're sliding through the pentatonic scale shapes. Getting that bend on the 15th fret. So we're starting with a 5 to 7 slide on the D string, and then up to the 5th fret of the G string. And then we're going to go slide from 7 to 9 on the G string. And then 9 to 12. 12 to 14. So quite a bit of sliding on that G string. And then we finish this off, that little slidey run, by going 13 on the B string to 15 and bend that 15th fret. And now, the only note outside of that A minor, C major pentatonic scale where we hit a B. So, and then skip up to the 15th fret of the high string. And then bend and release that 15th fret on the B string. And then we kind of just repeat that. We hit the 15th fret on that high string again. And then bend and release that B string 15th fret to the 15th or to the 13th fret. And end with a high string 15th fret bend. And the solo just ends in that pentatonic home bass pattern where we can, the easiest way to do this is to bar that 5th fret. So you're going to get the high string and the 2nd string and do an upstroke. Okay, so we hit that and then 7th fret bend, releasing to the 5th fret on the G string and then D string. And there's your solo. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed learning Lynyrd Skynyrd's Simple Man. Don't forget to subscribe for all your favorite songs. Drop suggestions in the comments. I've got a lot of cool ones coming, so you don't want to miss any of them. And share these videos with your friends. Thanks.